Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I am your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and on today's show, we're talking Texans up against the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, Titans hate week. We do not like Tennessee. We do not like the Titans, the team that stole football from the city of Houston for multiple years before the Texans came in and saved the day. Obviously, we want to beat them on and off the field, and our Titans host, Brett Alper, has been talking a lot of shit because he had a couple videos earlier this week that, I'm not going to lie, they did pretty well in getting subscribers. We are behind them this week in terms of getting new subscribers on the channel. So, I need y'all's help. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that sub button. Free Texans content all year long. We are the #1 Texans community here on YouTube. And just hate the Tennessee Titans and want to see them get another L this week, make sure you hit that sub button, send it to a friend, send it to a friend of a friend, and let's beat the Titans this week. And coming up, 3 reasons why the Titans game worries me, even though I should feel really confident in this team, and I should really feel confident up against the Tennessee Titans because, I mean, let's be honest. They are the worst team in the NFL. If the season ended today, they would have the #1 pick in the NFL draft. And the reason why I'm worried is the big T word. It's a trap game. I think the Texans could possibly be looking ahead, be looking past the Tennessee Titans, and that worries me a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you folks because the Texans play the Bills on a short week. It's going to be Thursday Night Football. Yes, all these games you see on screen right now, I will be live for. I go live for every single Texans game during the season. But obviously, you're playing the worst team, and then you play a big team in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. I definitely think the Texans could possibly be overlooking their opponent this week. No matter how bad they've been, no matter how bad they played, no matter how much the Texans put a whooping on them in their first matchup, it does worry me a little bit the fact that we have some big games. We have the Bills, Colts, Chiefs right after the Titans. You could definitely see this team looking ahead of Tennessee just a little bit. But what say you? Do you think this is a trap game for the Houston Texans? Give me a yes, give me a no down in the comment section. I'm actually filming this live during one of my live segments on Texans Today Live. I go live every Wednesday at 3:30 Central Time. And I'm not lying. The live poll right now is this question, and it's 50-50. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. My take is I 100% think this is the definition of a trap game. And that worries me because, as I'm filming this, CJ Stroud did not practice on Wednesday. And I've heard from multiple people that even if he was to practice, the sentiment at NRG was, well, it's just the Titans. Why not start Davis Mills one more week and make sure that CJ Stroud is good to go up against the Buffalo Bills? Which, in theory, makes sense, right? You don't want to, risk injury against a lesser opponent whenever you have 3 big games coming up. But can I remind you of last season when the Texans overlooked the Tennessee Titans, and this was the result? This was a home game for the Texans last year, and they lost 32-27 to Tennessee. This was just last season. And this was maybe with a worse quarterback in Will Levis. So, any given Sunday, anything can happen, even against the worst team in the National Football League. So, I 1,000% think this is a trap game for your Houston Texans. Out of all the games on their schedule, this is probably the one that teams are, this team in particular is like, oh, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's, like I said, it's the Tennessee Titans. That happened last year. And what happened? The Titans came into NRG, and they whooped our butt. I know it said 32-27. That game, I don't think it was as close as the score lets on. The Titans really did kind of dominate that game for most of the game up against the Texans last year. So, as a reminder, don't overlook the Tennessee Titans this week, even if they are one of the worst teams in the NFL. Now, coming up, 2 more reasons why this game worries me a little bit on the Texans front, even though, like I said, Texans heavy favorites. They should be, well off up against the Tennessee Titans. But I have 2 more reasons why I'm a little bit worried. You know what doesn't worry me? Playing daily fantasy sports on my favorite app, PrizePicks, because this hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather, it might be a changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's super simple. Just pick more or less on at least 2-player stats. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win big time. And this is the lineup that I'm rolling with for this weekend. I'm using one of the new stacks features on PrizePicks. What does that mean, Jeremy? Well, I'm glad you asked. It means you can use one player with multiple projections. So I have Cam Ward, his pass yards, I'm going less. Rush yards, it's only 4.5. And this Texans pass rush has been awesome. I think Cam Ward will have to scramble at least a couple times in this game. So give me the more on that. Going a little risky with some demon picks here. Jaden Higgins, 0.5 for a rushing or receiving touchdown. I'm going more. And then Woody Marks, I'm going more on his rush yards. The demon picks means you have a little bit of a higher payout. So, I don't know. Might be worth it. You can use my lineup or go ahead and make your own. PrizePicks, they put their users first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. Reason number 2 why I'm a little bit worried about this game. I already mentioned, more than likely CJ Stroud will not be playing this week. The Texans have had a couple injuries kind of piling up as the season has progressed. Here's some season-ending injuries that we've already seen. MJ Stewart went down this past week. He is out. Jalen Smith was put on IR for the second time in the season. So that means he will miss the remainder of the season. Brevin Jordan got hurt in preseason. And then the last two, I just added Joe Mixon and Tank Dell because maybe they might be out for the entire season. We don't know. But as of right now, it doesn't look like we'll be seeing Joe Mixon or Tank Dell anytime soon. And not only with that, also, you had a multitude of Texans who were out this past week up against Jacksonville. CJ Stroud did not play. Tytus Howard, he did not play, even though he is practicing today. Also, Ed Ingram was practicing today as I'm filming on Wednesday. Fairbairn did not practice today, and Jalen Pitre did not practice today. So, you have a lot of guys who missed last week, and the injuries, like I said, piling up a little bit. And this kind of leads into, CJ Stroud, maybe you don't play him. Oh, maybe, this guy, that guy, you don't play him. Trent Brown, he was injured versus the Jags. He did practice today. His x-rays came back negative, thankfully, for his injury that he sustained up against Jacksonville. He was out there practicing, but I do wonder, you're like, you know what? We'll just put Tytus Howard in that right tackle. We won't even talk about moving Tytus Howard back into guard, as those injuries are piling up. And on the flip side of things, I will say the Titans don't come in unscathed themselves. They have Jeffrey Simmons, who missed the last Titans game. They had a bye week. The week before, all these guys missed. Calvin Ridley, Xavier Woods, and Arden Key. So they have some injuries too, but the Texans, they have some injuries, and I also don't want to see any more injuries sustained in this Titans game because maybe you're kind of taking a play off here or there. Maybe you're not taking it as serious as you should, and you get injured on a play up against Tennessee when you have some bigger opponents coming up in the coming weeks. The last reason why I'm a little bit worried is people out on CJ Stroud. And this one might get an eye roll. This one, I might have some people in my live chat who are like, Jeremy, what are you even talking about? CJ playing this week was already 50-50. Before the news came out that he didn't practice Wednesday, that he hadn't cleared concussion protocol, he was already 50-50 this week because concussion protocol and because he was on a short week. And I put multiple polls out on my social medias, and after the Jags game, a lot of people were saying, hey, why don't we just have CJ Stroud be the backup for the rest of the season? And I want to just say this. I'm 100% team CJ. Mills, really good quarterback, really good backup. But CJ is the future. CJ Stroud is the franchise. And the one thing that has me worried is, Davis Mills comes in against a bad opponent in Tennessee, plays really well, and the heat starts kind of growing. The heat starts growing of, we should play him over CJ Stroud. People saying, oh, yeah, I'm out on CJ Stroud. I'm honestly kind of tired of that rhetoric because at the end of the day, anybody who has two eyeballs knows out of their entire body of work, CJ Stroud has looked much better at his highest than Davis Mills has ever. Even this past week up against Jacksonville, Davis Mills played a fantastic game, and there's a reason why he was extended during this season for next year already. There's a reason why they're paying him $7 million to be a backup, because he's a really good locker room guy. He's a really good teammate. And at the end of the day, he's a good quarterback that can get you a couple wins. But if we're talking starting 17 games, I would not feel confident in a team with Davis Mills being the prolonged starter, the guy for 17 games or for an entire season. CJ Stroud is head and shoulders the top guy on this team, the top guy for everybody out there. So the reason why I'm a little bit worried is because, yeah, you're playing a opponent that you should beat. It is a little bit of a trap game, but at the end of the day, I think the Texans will win this game. And I do wonder if Davis Mills goes out there and lights it up again, will my comment section be flooded with Davis Mills should be the starter? We need to bench CJ Stroud. I really hope not. Quick reminder, I will be live for this game. It is kicking off at noon, so I'll be live 30 minutes before kickoff per usual. Make sure you pull up as we are rooting on our Houston Texans. We have a chance to get back to 500. Let's not squander it this week up against Tennessee.